In the previous talk, we have discussed about physiology and nutrition of carbohydrates. Today, we'll be discussing on physiology and nutrition of fats. Let's have a look at the introduction. In addition to carbohydrates, the body turns to fat as another basic fuel source to solve its energy problem. Fat is a valuable fuel because it is highly concentrated, having about twice the energy value of carbohydrate. Fats are the most concentrated source of energy in our diet. They constitute an important part of our Indian daily dietary. Traditionally, fat has held a prominent place in American diet. Fat provides a concentrated storage form of basic fuel for the human energy system. They include substances such as fats, oil, and related compounds that are greasy to touch and insoluble in water. Substances of this class are called lipids. Like carbohydrate, fats are organic compounds composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But they differ from carbohydrate in that they contain much less oxygen and much greater proportion of carbohydrate and hydrogen. Let's see the lipids. The term lipid is applied to a group of naturally occurring substances characterized by their insolubility in water and their solubility in some organic solvents such as ether, chloroform, boiling alcohol, and benzene. Chemically, lipids are either esters of fatty acids or substances capable of forming such esters. Lipids are very widespread in nature among vegetables and animal matter. Some compounds of this group, such as phosphatides and sterols, are found in all living cells, where the protein and carbohydrate, they form an essential part of the colloidal complex of protoplasm. Complex lipids are also found in large quantities in the brain and nervous tissue. Let's see the classification of lipids. Lipids are classified as simple, compound, and derived lipids based on composition. First, we'll see the simple lipids. These are esters of fatty acid with various alcohols. They are classified according to the nature of alcohol as fats and oils. They are the ester of fatty acid and glycerol. Fats are solid at room temperature and oils are liquid at room temperature. Waxes, they are esters of fatty acid and long-chain aliphatic alcohols. Next is the compound lipid. The compound lipid contain, in addition to fatty acid and glycerol, some other organic compounds. They include phospholipids. These contain phosphoric acid and nitrogenous base in addition to glycerol and fatty acid. Example is the lecithin, cephalins, and sphingomyelin. Next is the sphingolipids. This contain the base sphingosine or dihydrosphingosin. Next is the glycolipids or cerebrosides. They are complex lipids containing carbohydrate in combination with fatty acid and sphingosine. Next is the sulfolipid. This contains sulfur acid in combination with hexose and a cerebroside. We'll see the derived lipids. These are substances liberated during hydrolysis of simple and compound lipids, which still retain the properties of lipids. Now let's have a look at fatty acids. A fatty acid is a long-chain carboxylic acid. It has the basic formula CH3, CH2, and COOH, where N can be any even number from 2 to 24. A considerable variety of fatty acids occur in nature. Most fatty acids are linear, though some branch chain and cyclic fatty acids are also found in nature. Saturated fatty acids have all the carbon atoms in the chain saturated with hydrogen atom. When a double bond is present between the two carbon atoms, the fatty acid is termed unsaturated fatty acid. The degree of unsaturation varies according to the presence of double bond. If one or more double bonds are present in a fat, it is called unsaturated fatty acid. If there are more double bonds in a fat, it is called polyunsaturated fatty acid. Palmic, stearic, and butyric acid are saturated fatty acids. Oleic, linoleic, and arachidonic acids are unsaturated oils. The unsaturated fatty acids are often described as essential fatty acids. Vegetable oils are rich in linoleic acid, and fish and animal fats are rich in arachidonic acid. Now we'll see the essential fatty acids. Nutritionally important fatty acids are known as essential fatty acids. Since the body cannot synthesize them, the essential fatty acid must be supplied to the body through foods. Linoleic acid, linolenic acid, and arachidonic acids are the essential fatty acids. We'll see the source of fats and oils. Vegetable cooking oils are extracted from oil seeds and nuts such as groundnut, sesame or jingly, mustard, safflower, Niger seed, cottonseed, and coconut. Butter and ghee are animal fats extracted from milk. These sources contribute to the visible fats in the Indian dietary. Food containing high amount of fats are source of hidden fats in the dietary. Of these, nuts and oilseeds are used as snacks or as addition to food preparation. The animal food which contain fat are milk, egg, meat, and liver. Nuts, oilseeds, milk, egg, and meat supply not only fat but also protein, minerals, and vitamin of the B complex group. Ghee, butter, eggs, and liver are good sources of vitamin A. Vegetable oils contain polyunsaturated fatty acids such as linoleic, linolenic, and arachidonic acid. Linoleic and arachidonic acid are required for growth and maintenance of integrity of the skin. Vegetable oils are fairly good source of essential fatty acids, coconut and olive oil being exception. We'll see the health needs for fats. We need fat in our food and in our body to keep us healthy. This need is indicated by the number of functions fats perform in nutrition, both in our diets and in our overall metabolism. The role of fat in food, that is the food fat. First, it is a fuel source. Food fats supply a basic continuing source of fuel for the body to store and burn as needed for energy. Food fats yields 9 kilocalories per gram when oxidized in the body, whereas carbohydrate yields 4 kilocalories per gram. Next is the essential nutrient supply. Food fats supply the essential fatty acids, especially linoleic acid and cholesterol, as needed to supplement the body's endogenous supply. Next is the food satiety. Fat in the diet supply flavor to food, which contributes to a feeling of satisfaction that lasts longer after eating than does the feeling of satisfaction after eating carbohydrates. This satiety is enhanced by the fuller texture and body that fat contributes to food mixture and the slower empty time it brings. We'll see the role of fat in the body, that is the body fat. First is the energy. A major function of fat in nutrition is to supply an effective fuel to all tissues except the central nervous system and brain, which depend on glucose. Number 2, thermal insulation. The layer of fat directly underneath the skin controls body temperature within the range necessary for a life. Number 3, vital organ protection. A wave-like padding of adipose fat surrounds vital organs such as the kidneys, protecting them from mechanical shock and providing a supporting structure. Number 4, nerve impulse transmission. Fat layer surrounding nerve fibers provide electrical insulation and transmit nerve impulse. Number 5, tissue membrane structure. Fat serves as a vital constituent of the cell membrane structure, helping transport nutrients, material, and metabolism across cell membrane. Number 6. Cell metabolism. Combination of fat and protein. Lipoproteins carry fat in the blood to all the cells. Number 7. Essential precursor substances. Fat supplies necessary components such as fatty acid and cholesterol for synthesis of many materials required for metabolic function and tissue integrity. Number 8. Absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K are absorbed in the body through fat. We'll see the digestion and absorption of fat. The digestion of fat is initiated by the lingual lipase enzyme. This enzyme mixes with chew food and hydrolyzes fatty acid from triglycerides to form diglycerides as the food travels down the esophagus to the stomach. From the stomach, the food masses passes into the small intestine where the presence of fat stimulates the release of the hormone cholecytokinin and secretin. These hormones in turn stimulate the secretion of pancreatic juice from the pancreas and release bile, which is synthesized in the liver. Bile is stored and released from gallbladder. In addition to bile salt and bile pigment, bile contains significant amount of various phospholipids including lecithin. As the food masses mix with bile, the lipid becomes bound within emulsified droplets that are coated in bile salt and bile phospholipid. Pancreatic juice is secreted and it raises the pH value in which pancreatic lipase become active. However, pancreatic lipase cannot act until an enzyme, procolipase, becomes activated to colipase by the pancreatic trypsin enzyme. Colipase then combines with pancreatic lipase and the emulsified lipid droplets to permit the lipase to act on the triglycerides within. The pancreatic juice hydrolyzes triglycerides with differing length of fatty acids to yield free fatty acids and monoglycerides. Once absorbed onto the intestinal cell, the longer chain free fatty acids and monoglycerides are combined back in the intestinal lumen. These triglycerides are incorporated into chylomicrons and subsequently released inward to the limb by the process of exocytosis. Medium and short fatty acids are not recombined into triglycerides but are absorbed quickly into the blood capillaries that lead to portal vein and hence to the liver, a faster mean of transport than that taken by long-chain fatty acids. Transport and metabolism. These newly formed human fats, that is triglycerides and other fat material present, are combined with small amount of protein covering to form lipoprotein called chylomicrons. These packages of fat in a milk-like liquid called chyle crosses the cell membrane, intact into the lymphatic system and then into the portal blood. Here, a final fat-clearing enzyme, lipoprotein lipase, helps clear the large milk lot of dietary fat from circulation. In the liver, the fat is converted to other lipoprotein for transport to the body cells for energy and other structural function. In the body cells, the fatty acids are burned as concentrated fuel to produce energy. This derived unit of fat have about twice the energy value of glucose products. We'll see the requirement of fats. Clinical experiences and laboratory studies have indicated that less than 5 grams of visible fat is enough to ensure intestinal absorption of both vitamin A and beta-carotene. Although a minimum amount of fat is essential to provide essential fatty acid, fat intake above a certain level is also undesirable. Studies relating to fat intake to cardiovascular disease suggest that an intake of fat energy at 30% or more of total calories is undesirable, particularly in sedentary individuals. Since in India, some 10 to 15% of this came from invisible fat, visible fat intake should be kept below 20%. This means that the daily fat intake should be kept below 50 grams per day. We'll see the deficiency or excess. When there is a deficiency of fat or carbohydrate in the diet, the body tends to burn its own fat or heat and energy. Continued deprivation of energy due to insufficiency of fat and carbohydrate may result in the tissue protein being used up for heat and energy. Once the body's store of fat is exhausted, therefore, it is important to supply an adequate amount of energy from fats and carbohydrate to the body. Excess of fat is undesirable for 3 reasons. First is that it may give a feeling of fullness, even when enough essential foods have not been eaten. Thus, the food eaten may fill up spaces without providing the nourishment needed by the body. Second, it may retard digestion and create bodily discomfort. And the third, excess fat stored in the body puts an extra burden on heart and other organs. Now, we'll see the conclusion. We can conclude that fat is an essential nutrient which, in addition to supplying the highest density of energy, insulates the body against low temperature and protects vital organs from damage. It also aids in the transmission of nerve impulse, production of metabolic precursor, formation of cell membrane structure, and transport of other molecules such as proteins. Fats are composed of glycerol and attached fatty acids of varying length and degree of saturation. Essential fatty acids are long-chain unsaturated fatty acids that cannot be manufactured by the body. The major one is linolenic acid. The type and amount of dietary fat can affect health. Large amount of unsaturated fat are risk factors for cardiovascular disease and other general health problems. Too small an amount of fat can result in a deficiency of the essential fatty acids. When fat provides 10% or less of the total kilocalories, deficiency symptoms occur.